My dear brother and sisters, when we speak of kindness, we are not speaking merely of human relationships. When we speak of kindness, we are not speaking merely of human relationships. Islam teaches us that mercy extends to all of Allah's creation. The Prophet ﷺ extends to all of Allah's creation. The Prophet ﷺ reminded us that every living being deserves care, respect, and compassion. And in showing kindness, Allah multiplies our blessings. Consider the bee, a small yet remarkable creature which works tirelessly to produce honey, a substance Allah Himself calls a healing for mankind in the Quran. Feeding it, protecting it, and respecting its place in creation is an act that not only reflects your humility but also opens doors of sustenance and mercy. The simple act of being gentle to creatures demonstrates a heart aligned with Allah's guidance, a heart aligned with Allah's guidance, a heart that acknowledges that every creature is a sign of His greatness, and that the one who is merciful will be blessed in ways seen and unseen. The camel, mentioned often in the Sunnah, carries lessons of patience, endurance, and reliance upon Allah. Caring for it, tending to it, and respecting its need reminds us of the virtue of gratitude, for even in its simplicity, it provides humans with transport, milk, and sustenance. When we serve Allah's creatures, we are reminded to serve Him with the same sincerity and consistency. The presence of these creatures in our lives, when treated with kindness, becomes a reflection of our inner character. Mercy toward them is a mirror of our mercy toward them, is a mirror of our mercy toward others, and it softens the heart, allowing Allah's blessings to flow. In nurturing them, we nurture our souls and attract a tranquility that cannot be measured in material wealth alone. The Prophet ﷺ had a deep fondness for cats, showing us that even the smallest creatures bring peace and serenity to our surroundings. Their presence calms the home, and their innocence reminds us of the beauty of simplicity. Treating cats with gentleness and care teaches humility, patience, and the ability to rejoice in small moments of creation. It is in this mercy that our hearts are softened, our patience strengthened, and our sustenance made more abundant. The barakah that enters a home through acts of kindness to animals is subtle yet powerful, increasing love, warmth, and spiritual nourishment in ways we may not immediately recognize. Yet Allah, in His infinite wisdom, ensures that those who are merciful are always granted provision. Even the dog, often misunderstood, carries a role in Allah's creation that can bring blessings when treated with responsibility and wisdom. A working or guard dog, when cared for appropriately, teaches accountability, discipline, and trust. It serves as a reminder that every creature has its purpose, and when we respect that purpose, we align ourselves with the order of Allah's universe. Compassion towards such animals nurtures empathy. Compassion towards such animals nurtures empathy and reinforces the connection between our deeds and Allah's reward. It is not the grandeur of wealth or status that brings barakah, but the humility, mercy, and care we extend to all living beings, reflecting the sunnah and the teachings of our beloved Prophet ﷺ, making our homes centers of blessing and tranquility. Every act of mercy toward creatures, no matter how small, becomes a conduit for Allah's barakah. Feeding, protecting, or simply treating animals with respect reflects a heart that recognizes Allah's signs and submits in gratitude. It teaches patience, humility, and compassion, virtues that attract spiritual and worldly sustenance alike. When the heart is soft toward Allah's creation, it opens the door for divine mercy in all aspects of life. The small silent acts of life, the small silent acts of kindness ripple outward, impacting our families, our communities, and even our own spiritual journey. In this way, animals are not merely companions or tools. They are reminders of the mercy of Allah and instruments through which He bestows blessings, guiding our hearts towards sincerity, gratitude, and trust in Him. Harshness and cruelty are heavy burdens upon the heart, and Islam teaches us that the heart is the vessel through which Allah's mercy flows. When we act unjustly, oppress others, or allow anger and pride to dominate our behavior, we unknowingly close the doors of sustenance that Allah wishes to grant us. The Prophet ﷺ warned us of the consequences of injustice, reminding us that oppression is darkness both in this world and the next. A heart that harbors cruelty, whether toward people, animals, or even oneself, becomes hardened and distant from Allah's mercy. Conversely, a heart that is gentle, forgiving, and humble attracts divine blessings. Conversely, a heart that is gentle, forgiving, and humble attracts divine blessings. Our rizq, not only wealth, but peace, guidance, and provision, is intricately linked to our character, and mercy is the key that unlocks the doors of barakah in every aspect of life. Injustice often begins in small, subtle ways. A harsh word spoken in anger, a careless act that harms another, or a thought filled with envy can quietly block the flow of blessings. The Prophet ﷺ taught us that even the smallest act of cruelty can weigh heavily on the soul. We are encouraged to constantly examine our hearts, to reflect upon our intentions, and to purify ourselves through dhikr, prayer, and sincere repentance. Mercy, on the other hand, has the power to illuminate our lives and invite abundance. Mercy, on the other hand, has the power to illuminate our lives and invite abundance. By are you punishing me by treating every creature with kindness, forgiving those who wrong us, and maintaining integrity in all dealings? We create a heart that becomes a magnet for Allah's sustenance, opening pathways that were previously hidden or obstructed. When we extend mercy to others, we are not merely performing a noble act. We are performing a noble act. We are aligning ourselves with the will of Allah. A merciful heart recognizes the struggles of those around it and responds with patience and compassion. It does not exploit weakness or delight in another's misfortune. The Prophet ﷺ's misfortune. The Prophet ﷺ emphasized that those who show mercy will themselves receive mercy, and this principle applies to our provision as well. Sustenance flows most abundantly to those who embody gently, to those who embody humility, gentleness, and justice. When we cultivate empathy and soften our hearts, we begin to notice the subtle ways Allah blesses our lives. Opportunities that appear, connections that form, and ease that enters our affairs. Each act of kindness toward others strengthens our link to the divine stream of provision. Neglecting mercy or embracing cruelty not only harms others, but it also erodes the soul and obstructs our spiritual growth. Anger, resentment, and pride build walls that block the doors of barakah. The Prophet subdued and urged his followers to forgive, to restrain anger, and to maintain good character even in the face of hardship. By doing so, we cleanse our hearts and ensure that our intentions align with Allah's pleasure. A pure heart, free from injustice, attracts sustenance in ways that are unseen and profound. The home becomes a sanctuary. Relationships thrive, and the mind and soul find peace. By are you punishing me? By avoiding harshness and choosing mercy, we create an environment where Allah's blessings naturally flow, and where rizq is not merely measured in wealth, but in tranquility, guidance, and spiritual fulfillment. Remember, Allah's mercy is infinite, and He responds to the hearts that return to Him with sincerity. When we wrong others or allow cruelty to dominate our actions, we are closing ourselves off from the generosity of our Lord. But when we choose mercy, forgiveness, and kindness, we become participants in a divine rhythm of giving and receiving. Acts of justice and compassion, no matter how small, are seeds planted for abundant rizq. Caring for people, showing empathy, and maintaining integrity create ripples that touch not only our material provision, but also our spiritual growth and mental peace. The heart that loves mercy will never be empty, and Allah will open doors of sustenance in ways that are subtle, powerful, and transformative, encompassing both this life and the next. Sincerity is the heart of every action in Islam, and Allah, who looks at the heart before He looks at deeds, even the smallest act, if performed purely for His pleasure, carries immense weight. A kind word spoken to someone in need, a smile that brings comfort, or a simple act of charity, when done with sincerity, becomes a source of barakah. Prayer and dhikr, bit, even if brief, connect the heart directly to Allah, reminding us that He is the ultimate provider and sustainer. The Prophet said that deeds are judged by intentions, and this principle teaches us that quantity is secondary to purity. A single sincere act can open doors of rizq in ways that the mind cannot anticipate, turning small efforts into profound blessings that touch our wealth, our family, our health, and our spiritual well-being, all by the mercy of Allah. When we engage in dhikr, we are aligning our hearts with the remembrance of Allah, repeating His beautiful names, expressing gratitude, or seeking forgiveness cleanses the soul and softens the heart. Dhikr serves as a constant reminder that everything belongs to Allah and that our sustenance, our guidance, and our ease come from Him alone. The Prophets of Allah encouraged regular remembrance of Allah, saying that it is the light of the heart and the pathway to provision. Small, consistent acts of dhikr, even whispered quietly in moments of reflection, invite immense mercy and blessings when coupled with sincere prayer. These acts magnify our reliance on Allah and open doors we never knew existed, creating opportunities, easing difficulties, and fostering a profound sense of spiritual and worldly abundance that cannot be measured by wealth alone. Prayer, when performed with presence of heart, transforms our connection with Allah. It is not merely a physical act, it is an intimate conversation between the servant and the Creator. Each prostration humbles the soul, reminding us of our dependence on Allah for every need. Sincere prayer, performed with understanding and concentration, creates channels through which blessings flow. Even if our wealth seems limited, our patience tested, or our opportunities scarce, prayer softens the heart and aligns our actions with divine guidance. Bajont, the Prophet ﷺ said that prayer is the key to success and the door to sustenance, emphasizing that what we seek through lawful means is multiplied when approached with devotion. Through the union of prayer, dhikr, and sincerity, door barakah, dhikr and sincerity, doors of rizq, both seen and unseen, begin to open in ways that transform our lives and uplift our spirits. Small acts of kindness, when paired with sincere intention, have ripple effects that extend far beyond what we perceive. Feeding a neighbor, caring for an animal, or comforting someone in distress, when done with the heart, seeking Allah's pleasure, becomes a source of ongoing barakah. The Prophets of the lesson highlighted that even a smile or a gentle word is charity in itself. When combined with consistent prayer and remembrance, these acts of sincerity create a network of blessings that touch every aspect of life, relationships, health, opportunities, and sustenance. They teach us humility. Why are you punishing me? Tip, reliance on Allah, and the importance of maintaining a soft heart, always ready to do good. Each small act becomes a bridge to greater blessings, showing us that sustenance is not merely measured by material wealth, but by the ease, guidance, and mercy Allah places in our lives. Never underestimate the power of consistency and intention. The smallest acts performed regularly with a heart focused on Allah accumulate like drops of water, forming a river of mercy. Each moment spent in dhikr, each prayer with sincerity, and every act of kindness purifies the soul and opens doors that we could never have imagined. These deeds are not just rituals, they are expressions of love, gratitude, and trust in Allah's wisdom. The Prophets of them taught that even a small act done for the sake of Allah is rewarded manifold, and that provision flows to those who remain patient, sincere, and devoted. Why are you punishing me? By nurturing our hearts with prayer, dhikr, and righteous action, we invite sustenance in all its forms, spiritual, emotional, and material, creating a life filled with barakah, ease, and divine favor. Trusting Allah fully is the foundation of a heart at peace. Often we feel anxious about the future, restless about our provision, or burdened by the trials of life. Yet the Quran reminds us repeatedly that Allah is Al-Wali, the protector, and Al-Razak, the provider. But the protector and Al-Razak, the provider. When we surrender our worries to Him, we acknowledge that He alone holds the keys to what we seek. Trust is not passive, it is an active reliance, a conscious choice to turn to Allah in every situation, knowing that every difficulty carries wisdom, and every difficulty carries wisdom, and every delay contains mercy. The Prophet ﷺ demonstrated perfect trust, relying on Allah while taking the necessary steps in life, teaching us that submission and effort together bring tranquility. A heart anchored in trust becomes resilient, calm, and patient even when circumstance, why are you punishing me? Because it knows that Allah's plan is perfect and that He never fails His servants, and perfect, and that He never fails His servants. Walking in humility softens the heart and opens it to divine guidance. Pride and arrogance block the flow of blessings, while humility draws mercy and sustenance closer. Humility is not weakness, it is strength under control, recognizing our dependence on Allah for every breath, every blessing, and every opportunity. The Prophet Salamas was the embodiment of humility, showing respect and care to all, regardless of status or wealth. By walking in humility, we learn to value the needs of others, to forgive, and to avoid greed or envy. Humility in action and thought aligns us with the pleasure of Allah, allowing His wisdom to guide our choices and open doors that arrogance might have closed. A humble heart becomes fertile ground for blessings, allowing patience, gratitude, and trust to take root and flourish in every aspect of life. Patience is the companion of faith and the shield in times of hardship. Life presents trials in many forms: loss, illness, financial difficulty, or personal struggle, and it is through patience that the heart remains connected to Allah. The prophets of the patience in adversity brings immense reward, and that those who persevere are beloved to Allah. Patience is not mere endurance. It is a conscious decision to remain steadfast, to control anger, and to maintain trust in Allah while facing challenges. When we combine patience with humility and sincere reliance on Allah, trials are transformed into opportunities for growth, for purification of the soul, and for the opening of doors to provision we could not have imagined. The heart that perseveres in patience becomes a magnet for mercy and barakah. Trials, when met with trust, humility, and patience, are no longer obstacles. Humility and patience are no longer obstacles, but pathways to blessings. The difficulties we encounter refine our character, teach gratitude, and deepen our relationship with Allah. Each challenge carries a hidden wisdom, a lesson in reliance, and a chance for spiritual elevation. The prophets of Nusin faced trials with unwavering faith, demonstrating that trust and patience yield results beyond material gain. They bring peace of heart, clarity of mind, and spiritual resilience. When we surrender to Allah, acknowledging that He alone knows what is best, we transform anxiety into serenity, loss into opportunity, and hardship into barakah. The doors of sustenance, both seen and unseen, open to those who remain steadfast, patient, and humble, creating a life infused with divine guidance and mercy that transcends worldly measures. To fully trust Allah is to believe that His plan encompasses every detail of our existence. Walking in humility allows us to release pride and arrogance, while patience turns difficulties into blessings. Together, they form the path of the believer, a path where the heart is anchored in faith, the mind aligned with divine wisdom, and the soul strengthened through reliance and surrender. Each act of trust, each moment of patience, each gesture of humility amplifies the flow of Allah's mercy and sustenance. By embracing this approach, we cultivate a life of contentment, resilience, and barakah, knowing that Allah's promise is true. He provides for every need, answers every sincere prayer, and turns trials into triumphs for those who place their hearts fully in His hands. The believer learns that life's challenges are not punishments but opportunities to witness Allah's perfection in action, and that every difficulty, when met with trust and humility, is a gateway to immense spiritual and worldly reward.